Everyone, I'm excited to share today my passion and my heart for creation care, its importance, and why as Christians we should take up the challenge to be more environmentally concerned for our beautiful planet that God has created. Thank you to the pastors and leaders at PGFC for this opportunity. Ever since I moved to California, I've been more active in my efforts to reduce my carbon footprint and reduce my waste that's ending up in the landfill. I am by no means an expert, but we as a family reduced our trash to about one 13-gallon bag per month. It's definitely been quite a journey of discovering what works for our family, and I'm excited to be able to share some reasons for why it's important to take simple lifestyle changes that can have a positive impact on the environment. But before I continue, I probably should mention that this is not my normal face. This is my normal face. This is not my normal face. A couple of months ago, I was diagnosed with Bell's palsy. If you don't know what that is, you can look it up. Bell's palsy. I'm on the road to recovery. I'm taking medication and seeing an acupuncturist to reconnect the nerves on the right side of my face. I had a sore throat that went into a ear infection, and then the ear infection caused Bell's palsy. So now this side of my face isn't working very well. So I would covet your prayers for quick healing because it's been about 6 weeks right now. Thankfully, it's not permanent, but definitely really annoying to not be able to blink and smile properly, and not be able to eat a hamburger without getting ketchup all over my face. All right, putting that aside, why are we talking about creation care, and is it really important? When we talk about creation care, we have to think about who created the earth, our Heavenly Father. He spoke the world into being, and whatever He made, He declared that it was good. And from the beginning of time, God was very clear that He gave the first man and woman a mandate to care for and steward the earth. And that mandate has not changed. In Genesis 2:15, it says that the Lord took the man, who's Adam, put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and take care of it. God didn't say that Adam could abuse it or exploit it to his benefit, but He says to take care of it, to cultivate it and tend it. How do you think we're doing thus far? One of the biggest reasons that really motivated me to get serious with changing the way we were living was because of my kids. Besides having this deep conviction that God wants us to be good stewards of creation, to love and care for what He created, it boiled down to this big question: what kind of world or environment am I leaving my kids and my future grandkids? Because whatever affects the environment today will have detrimental effects on the planet in the years to come. We see now that with climate change and pollution in our cities and oceans, right? I mean, that's all happening right now. You've probably heard it said that we're merely borrowing the earth from our children. And I don't want to leave them with a planet that's drained of natural resources, mounted with waste that will sit in a landfill, collect in the ocean, contaminate our waters, which will in turn use to, hydrate our farms, grow our fruits and vegetables, feed the animals, and then we eventually consume, right? And all those things are really unhealthy and bad for our health. So it's all a cycle, and it's going to come back in some form of negative impact on our environment and our health. So really, what can we do? Well, let me share my experience on this journey to reducing my waste and making better choices in life that will benefit creation in the long run. The first thing I want to cover is to reduce your household waste. For as long as I can remember, whenever I was, young, I would throw something in the bin. I would cringe because, I knew that piece of trash is never going to go away. I've had 4 kids, and the amount of diapers that I've used on my little babies since they were born, I don't even want to think about it, but basically I know that they're going to sit in the landfill for another 500 years. And that's why ever since my babies moved to 6 months old, I would always put them on cloth diapers. But that aside, we are so used to the conveniences that we have all around us, right? Diapers, cloth diapers, what's that? We all have disposable. Why not? We just use disposable so much easier. We tap our dinner, especially with COVID lockdown. We just have Uber Eats deliver the food. I get it. Sometimes we just don't have time to do the things that we need to do, and we just go for the easy route, right? But, with a little effort, with a little planning, I think we can reduce the need to rely so much on the conveniences that we have around us. We need to stop and think about where those things that we're throwing into the bin, onto the trash can, without even thinking. We got to ask ourselves, where is that going? Does it just miraculously disappear? No, it doesn't. It ends up somewhere, and that somewhere is the landfill. Do you remember? I mean, you probably remember, but I still remember this saying, sedikit-sedikit lama-lama jadi bukit, right? Well, in this case, it literally is a bucket, a very large bucket of trash. I know you're probably thinking, where do we even begin? It's impossible. There's no way. Well, I asked myself that same question, and then I stumbled upon B. Johnson. She's originally from France, but now she lives in California with her husband and 2 sons. She wrote a book called Zero Waste Home, and it completely inspired me. Her family only produces a 12-ounce jar of trash in a year. Okay, maybe even less than that. I'm not kidding. She's inspired millions of people to change their way of living, but I understand that it's a high calling, and we can't change overnight, but we can certainly take baby steps in the right direction. So here's where she's enlightened me to living a sustainable, waste-reduced lifestyle. And she shares this diagram with 5 important R's. The first R is to reduce. The first R is to refuse. Say no to that free gift or free pen or whatever free things that you can get. Say no to straws. Say no to single-use plastic. Stop buying cheap things that will break. Every time we take a single-use plastic item, a replacement needs to be made, creating a demand for these items. So the manufacturer keeps making them, and then we keep taking them, and the cycle goes on and on. So be wise and just say, no, thank you. The second R is reduce. Reduce whatever you have. Ask yourself if you really need it before buying it. And if you do buy something, then you need to look at what you already have. And if you're not using it, then donate it to someone else that could use it or could enjoy it. Last year and the year before that, I made a commitment not to buy anything new for my wardrobe. Last year was easy, right? COVID, we didn't see anybody. I mean, we were in our pajamas all day. Well, B. Johnson says in the book that we only wear 20% of the clothes in our closet. And that's so true for me. The remaining 80% is kept for the what if. What if I have a wedding to attend? What if I lose weight? Or what if I go for a job interview? I'm going to need that nice suit. Well, that's true, isn't it? But the reality is these things keep piling up in our houses, and then we just become hoarders. Life would be so much simpler if we just didn't have so much stuff. Now, the third R is reuse. Buy secondhand. And I hate to admit this, but I buy almost everything on Facebook Marketplace. Everything from shoes, bikes, rollerblades, toys, kitchenware, electronics, and even clothes for my kids. Goodwill is another great store too. I love Goodwill. For my son Warren's birthday, he just turned 3. All the toys I bought him were secondhand gifts. I bought him books. I bought him a puzzle. I tell my kids if they ever want to buy a toy or invest in something, it better be good quality, because anything cheap is going to eventually end up in the trash, right? Only the high quality stuff will stand the test of time. So when you have less, you learn the value of the things that you do have. So it's a great lesson for my kids. Now the fourth R is recycle. Yes, this is the 4th step, not the first. Why? Because very few plastics ever get recycled. Why? Because it's contaminated, and then they end up in the landfill, or worse, in the ocean. There needs to be a demand for plastic material to be recycled. And at this point, not many are buying them because there's just too much plastic that's being generated at the moment. But if you don't have a choice, and you have to buy plastic, and for whatever reason, it's fine. I do buy some plastics too. You want to look at the bottom of that bottle or whatever you're buying. Look for the number 1 or 2, which generally gets recycled, provided they're clean and free of contamination. Now, I know it's difficult to cut plastics out completely, but every little bit counts. And just keep in mind that with recycling plastics, usually they turn into items that can no longer be recycled, and unlike glass and aluminum. The 5th R is to let things rot. R for rot, composting. I'll show you my compost bin later in my backyard. And thankfully, I live in a city where they do actually collect some other compostable materials such as grease and bones and fat, which I wouldn't put in my backyard compost bin. Alright, so here comes the fun part. I'm going to give you a little tour of some of the things we've done in our home. Some are very simple, which you can start almost immediately. And I'm going to recruit some help from my daughters, Taylor and Madison, who will share some zero waste tips in the Grandin household.
These are our cloth hankies in a jar. My mom took a free cotton blanket and cut it up into squares and placed it in a jar. We use it for quick cleanups, drippy noses, and mealtime messes. We only have tissue boxes out for guests when they come. We haven't bought tissue boxes in 2 years. These are silicone snack bags that are washable and reusable, so we don't buy Ziploc bags. And instead of cling wraps, we use beeswax wraps to cover our food. For our personal hygiene, we have swapped our plastic bottles for bars. We can find shampoo, conditioner, face, and body wash in bars. My dad and I use a deodorant that we bought online. It comes in a cardboard tube, but it's compostable when empty. My mom makes toothpaste using product found at a bulk store, and peppermint and spearmint oil in glass jars. There are many options at refill stores, but we found that this is a cheaper option for us. And we also use a bamboo toothbrush. My mom makes most of the snacks for us. We have smoothies almost every day with fruits and veggies in it. She also makes muffins, banana bread, granola, popcorn, and cookies. And if we don't have those, we eat fruit like a banana or an apple or a handful of nuts. It's convenient and there's no packaging. Of course, sometimes we do get to eat packaged stuff, but it's very rare. When we go grocery shopping, we buy loose vegetables and fruit so we can put these in produce mesh bags, eliminating the need for plastic bags. One store also sells nuts, seeds, beans, and rice in bulk, so we can just fill them up in these bags too. If we need to get meat, we go to the deli section and ask them to put it in these glass containers. Of course, they'll take the weight off the container first before weighing the meat. We always try to look for food items in glass, such as peanut butter, oils, ketchup, soy sauce, and all. Glass and aluminum can be recycled when they are cleaned out. My mom also bakes bread in a bread machine. Because of my gluten intolerance, she buys this 10-pound bag of flour. Since it's packaged with paper, we can just recycle the paper.
Let me talk a little bit about cleaning products. This is what I use at home. For washing my dishes, this is my pot scrubber. It's made out of wood and the bristles are made out of hog's hair. And this is for my regular dishwashing. Comes with a wood. And same thing, bristles are made out of hog's hair. And then I have the boxes here that are cardboard, and it comes in no packaging, just the box, which can be broken out and recycled or put in my compost bin. The pods here are for my dishwasher. And I have 2 boxes of this. One is for my softener and my laundry soap. So look, you can have a clean house without much plastic. Some people think that going zero waste or reducing waste is costly, and my answer to that is yes and no. Buying from a refill store or alternative products online could be more expensive since their products are mostly high quality and not your regular products made in bulk at the factory that's laden with chemicals. Most of the items I purchase are manufactured and sourced responsibly. But think about it. If you're going a route of reducing your waste, you're going to end up saving money in the long run by refusing to buy certain items such as your paper napkins, paper towels, tissue paper. And I have saved so much money by not buying disposable diapers. And if you're a parent, you know that disposable diapers are not cheap. So you're really better off using products that are better for you, better for the environment. Unfortunately, it is difficult, but not impossible to cut out all plastics in life because it's everywhere, right? I have to admit, I still have to buy huge bottles of like this body lotion, which I save it for like a whole year, and I make sure that we go through it very slowly. I buy vinegar and dish soap in this kind of bottle, which I make sure it's clean before I recycle it. So you might ask me, where can I actually get these eco-friendly products to help me move in the right direction? Well, guess what? There are 12 zero waste stores now in the Klang Valley. That's more than what I have here in South Orange County. I only have 3 stores, and I have to drive a long ways to get there. So consider yourself blessed that Malaysians are so entrepreneurial and eco-friendly and eco-conscious. Hey, one of the stores actually sells soy sauce in bulk. Now I'm really jealous. So Google or search on your web browser anything related to zero waste stores Klang Valley, and I'm sure you can find one that's near you. Now let me go back to the last R in that diagram, which is to let things rot. What I mean is letting organic matter such as your fruit and your veggie scraps decompose. Do you know that you can divert more than half of your household waste by composting? It's happened with us. And with compost, you create this really rich material that's great for your garden. And compost adds nutrients to your plants and helps retain moisture. So I'm going to show you what my compost looks like. So here we are in my backyard. This is my compost tumbler. We throw our food waste in here, grass clippings, leaves, brown material like paper into it, and I keep a smaller container at my kitchen sink so that when that gets full, we just throw it out here. The beauty about a compost bin is that while it keeps things contained and the smell inside and keeps the rodents away, but once it decomposes, we use the dirt for our vegetable garden. And we don't have a big vegetable garden, but we actually have a raised bed right there. And I don't think I ever thought I didn't think I would actually be doing this, but I'm learning, I'm having fun. It's fun to come out here to, you know, grab whatever I need, herbs or kale, and we're growing some cucumber as well. And it's fun and it's rewarding, and it's great for the kids to learn how to care and nurture things that are plants. Yes, it does require time and effort, and we make sure that the plants are looking healthy. We get enough water during the hot summer months, and we have annoying pests that come and enjoy the produce that we grow. But hey, it's all part of nature. In a nutshell, gardening is life-giving. It puts us in touch with nature. We also learn patience and lessons about sowing single seeds and reaping abundant harvest. And that is a true miracle of God's design in our world. So here's what we're growing. We've got some kale at the back. This is the mint leaves, and I've got some cilantro growing at the back, the baby ones. Cucumber, Japanese cucumber right here. And I've got kale. We love kale. It's great to put them in smoothies, stir fry, soups. I've got my crazy spring onions here. My goodness, those are growing nuts. And my lettuce, which they're bolting right now because it's the summer and it's super duper hot. I've got a parsley back here that it's at the end of its life, some okra, lady's finger back there, more kale, and this is my little baby, my baby green pepper. It's not doing too well because I think it's kind of in a corner right there of my vegetable garden. And this is Taylor's raised bed. I'm letting her have her own little garden, and she's got her cucumber growing as well. And these are our green beans. Look at them, they're coming out right now. We've got okra as well. She is a funny girl. When she grew up and when she was living in Malaysia, it was her favorite thing, eating okra, lady's finger. So we've got some okra growing, and we've got some carrots as well, and some weird squash plants that have kind of appeared from nowhere, but she's wanting to keep them in there, although I don't think it's good for the plants, for the carrots. When it comes to energy consumption, I know we have limited capabilities and resources depending on where we live. One of the sole reasons we are excited about this house that we're in right now is the fact that it has 26 solar panels on the roof. This means that during the day, the electricity that's generated in my house comes from the energy of the sun alone. We pay for the energy it creates, of course, but it's clean energy. We don't tap into the main power grid until the sun goes down. And even at the end of the year, the electrical company actually sends us a check for producing extra electricity for the main grid. You know, with Malaysia being right by the equator, it would make sense to move towards solar energy and be more solar energy dependent instead of, gas or coal. And maybe that's something to look into. We also recently purchased a secondhand Prius, Toyota Prius, which is going to give us better gas mileage so we can reduce our carbon footprint. And also, if you have access to public transport or a bike, you could use it or walk instead of driving. With all that said and done, one of the questions I often get is, do I sometimes feel like it's pointless, that I'm the only one doing it? Actually, no. A lot of my friends are moving in that direction. And if you go on Facebook or Instagram, there are also a lot of people talking about this new kind of lifestyle. I mean, the fact that Klang Valley, has more zero-waste stores than where I live, that says a lot about the change of mindset that's taking place. And the way I see it, I'm making an impact in my family, in my community. When I go outside and talk to my neighbors and I tell them what I'm trying to do, it just opens their eyes. They've never thought about changing their paper, not using paper napkins and using cloth napkins instead. I've had them tell me, I guess what, Alicia, I bought my cloth napkins finally, or I've started composting. You might think your individual efforts will not make that much of a difference, but collectively as a society, it does matter what we do together. When you stop buying certain products that we know isn't good for the environment, we have the power to refuse that, creating less need for it. Instead, we can choose to buy products that are eco-friendly, better for our health, thus increasing the demand for them. That's still going to keep the economy going, right? And it's good for the environment too. It's all about supply and demand, isn't it? We all have a capacity to do something at this point. Change a habit that can have a positive impact on our environment. We can say no to single-use plastic, upgrade technology, go to the grocery store or the pasar malam that will allow you to touch the individual products and put them into your produce bags, right? Your vegetables and fruits. And it's all gonna, eventually save you money in the long run and help the environment. I want to end with this quote from Billy Graham. He's a man who needs no introduction, but he also has this to say about the environment. Why should we be concerned about the environment? It isn't just because of the dangers we face from pollution, climate change, or the other environmental problems, although these are serious. For Christians, the issue is much deeper. We know that God created the world, and it belongs to Him, not us. Because of this, we are only stewards of or trustees of God's creation, and we aren't to abuse or neglect it. The Bible says the earth is the Lord's and everything in it, the world and all who live in it. Psalms 24, verse 1. When we fail to see the world as God's creation, we will end up abusing it. Selfishness and greed take over, and we end up not caring about the environment or the problems we are creating for the future generations. I pray you found this sharing helpful, and I'd love to connect with anyone who has a follow-up question or would like to dialogue some more. It's been a privilege, and thank you again for listening. Reach out to me by emailing me at aliciagrandin@gmail.com, or you can find me on Instagram at lifebyalicia. Bye, guys.